So this question of a purpose comes up a lot in me, in many of us, in the majority of the readings that I do, it comes up. So it's obviously, a big question that I think is always actually simple to answer, but we are in a time where things are so complicated that it's hard to keep things simple, right? When everything else is so busy and extravagant, complicated, all that kind of thing. So I want to talk about your purpose in being you, who you are. There's a lot of jobs that do help other people in the world, but a lot of people think that that's what they're supposed to do, is some kind of job or physical thing as their purpose. And yes, doing physical things in the world is important, but sometimes you can be the person that affects someone, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, energetically, just by your presence. So what I mean is, if we dedicate ourselves to the fact that our purpose here probably isn't predetermined as much as we think it is or should be, and even if we're really good at things, doesn't mean that that is our purpose necessarily. It can mean that, and if you find satisfaction, contentment, joy there, great. But I think we miss the point if we think it's just about the title, the label, the income, because honestly, what if you're here just so that you can learn what life is about and grow, and there's no set goals or predeterminations of what you should be doing outside of whatever it is that brings you joy. Sometimes, that looks like being quite slow in the day, like being quite still. But in that stillness, I find personally that a lot of my inner growth happens where I start to see the world and myself from a different perspective than I did the day before, or I did 10 years ago. And to me, it's all about that perspective shift. That perspective shift is where you feel a shift internally, and it's like you have more wisdom suddenly. It feels like you just get things a little bit more. You don't get everything, and you're not trying to get everything, but the things that you need to understand, you suddenly you understand them. And I think this simple thing is so overlooked. Like, just the simple fact of your purpose is to understand that you're here to understand what it is that brings you joy, and to grow as a being. And so what's growth, you know? It looks like something different to everybody, and again, I do feel like in some people there's a different ratio of what growth looks like pertaining to physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. I guess if I was to, like, you know, take a guess, like, everyone is supposed to balance all of those elements inside of us, like have a good emotional expression, have a good, be able to understand why you think in a certain way, but I don't know, I think we do all have different ratios of, some people are more interested in growing in the physical, actually growing their body, actually, you know, winning medals for that, for being the best at something physically. Some of us are trying to grow spiritually, where we become more aware that everything is part of us, and that even though we're separate physically, we are connected to all of it. And that one's really, that's a mysterious one, that, because it's like some people I think are more connected to that space than others, but they might not necessarily be spiritual. For me, like, that plays in a lot with my emotions. So what I mean is, like, growing up I had a lot of emotions that I didn't know how to deal with, and so I think for a long time I actually repressed my emotions. But then I kind of started looking into spirituality as a way to rebalance my emotions. But not only did I rebalance them, although still working on that every day, I started uncovering more layers, more perceptions of, like, just, it's kind of like gateways in your mind. It's that shift, when you shift in awareness because someone told you something, you learned something, you felt something, you know, understood something, whatever way, it shifted in you. It came with more empathy, understanding why the world is the way it is, or why people do the things that they do. Like, I feel like my journey through, like, deep repression of my emotions to, like, finding spirituality and kind of using that as a way to get back in touch with some part of myself that I lost, because it can be the physical that you lose, it can be the mental that you lose, you know, like, as in that be the area that you're most, they're all connected though, so it's interesting when talking about this, because, like, they're all interwoven. But what I'm saying is that I didn't expect in this journey of again, like going through a bit of a emotional breakdown where I just felt completely numb and depressed. That was like at the lowest points of my life. Completely like just didn't want to be here. And then in moments where that arises, where I feel like I don't belong, don't feel like I'm home, feel like I want to be here, there's some kind of mental, emotional, physical, energetic, spiritual need that wants to be fulfilled. And I would hazard a guess to say even further that is also your purpose, is to take care of you as the human that you are on this, living this life. And again, that's like why so many of us kind of get ill and depressed in all the different ways, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, is because we forget that our purpose is to look after ourselves while we're on this journey. Like, we don't know where we're going, right? But we have an idea. We can maybe use it as belief is a strong thing, If you have a deep belief that one day you're gonna reach your goals and you're gonna become this person that gets to do all this great stuff, like uplift other people's lives or uplift nature, to a space where you feel like, for me personally, like I want to be able to take care of nature. One of the things that bothers me a lot is not being able to share myself with the ecosystem in a loving way. I just find it a lot easier to connect with nature and animals personally. But I do really have, like I love uplifting other beings as well, other human beings. But I find that I can only do so much. Like, all I can really do is work on myself. If someone is helped by just kind of being around me or like understanding my imprint as a person, that's kind of what I have like chosen as my path in this life. But I do help people in other ways as much as I can, but yeah, I don't know. So there's like so many things to learn. Like, I feel like I'm learning on a daily basis how to let things go, how to overcome limitations, and so everyone's doing that. And for me personally, like, I feel like one of my biggest purposes here is to, as I said, like, be joyful, like, enjoy my life. in whatever ways that comes about, and uplift other people and other beings, creatures, nature, and but then also to like realize on a fundamental level like a real, deep, true connection with something that is beyond just me, Kim. It's what connects all of us. It's where we kind of... It's what all of us are. It's like this thing that can't be named. And understanding that takes, a lifetime, really. So, I feel some days are tougher than others with that, because it feels like, what am I really doing with my life? But then other days I'm like, I'm doing the exact thing I'm supposed to do. It's to really look at the world from no biased opinion, to see it for what it really is, to know truth, to bring the light of truth here, whatever that is to you. That is inspiring. That is, that's inspiring. And finding magic in the mundane, that's also one of the things that I had to learn to do in the spiritual journey, was that, because sometimes the simple things are like I want to say they're the most noble, but I also know that that's my own personal opinion, but that's how I feel anyway. That's what I resonate with, is living a simple life that is like full of inner breakthroughs, and you get to see the outcome of it in the world, like the person that you are around your ecosystem, around other people. So yeah, it's really quite simple. And in terms of your purpose, like you have a purpose to be here and to live this life, Oh, a sniffle. Oh. It's all that snow. Hi. Yes, a good boy. I read a post this morning that said one of the best things you can do in your life is to be loved by a cat. And I was like, yeah, I feel that. being loved by you is the best. One of the best things. Because it's so simple, but it's just so satisfying. Because you're so good. Yeah. Yeah. Sleepy boy. Well, that's it for now, folks. Hope you're doing well. And I know these times are stressful. Finding a way to shift your perspective, see things from whatever way, whatever perspective helps you the most.